Cabri G2 startup. Starting from the checklist, item number 1. Seatbelts on. Seatbelts on and fastened. MR controls, that includes the cyclic and the collective. So, collective friction, or excuse me, first of all, cyclic. Rotating the cyclic in its full cyclic authority. Checking for pops, binds, and frictions. Cyclic centered. Collective friction off. Collective up, down, making sure these movements coincide with the rotor blade. Collective down. I will leave the friction on. TR pedals, anti-torque pedals. LH controls, check secured. Secured. Objects stowed. Checking to make sure, look inside the cockpit, make sure there's no loose items hanging around. Be a good idea to look under the seats as well. Fuel shutoff valve on. Circuit breakers in. Just running your fingers, make sure none of them are popped out. Mixture full rich. Instrument and switches. Check all off. Carb heat. Be sure it's in the auto position. Should be one up. In the center position. There should be a 3 detent switch. Down's cold, center's auto, up is hot. Carb heat switch auto. One up. Excuse me. I stand corrected. Auto. Carb heat is in auto. Master switch on. And our switch, one click up to backup. We should be displaying 3 green lights here on the bark, and warning lights should be all, with the exception of the start switch, till after you hear the beep. After the beep, all that will remain will be 1 green bark light here. Should have governor off, oil pressure, and alt lights remaining. And by the way, this is for talking about the real Cabri. This is a simulator, however, so apparently things are a little different here. Strobe light on. fuel pump on, note rise. When we turn the fuel pump on, we're looking for this guy right here, this instrument here. For the rise, fuel pump is located right here. Up one's on, and there goes the rise. Manual primes per SOP. Way we do it, where I'm training at, currently training to get my my rotorcraft rating, is you take the throttle, gonna roll the throttle away. Throttle away from me is full. On the EPM, it should be showing, should register as about 30ish on the MLI. Then I'm going to go ahead and raise the collective up to about 99%. That's one. Going to roll the throttle down, back up to 99.2, down, back up 3, down, back up 4. That's 4 times 4 primes, 4 times primed. Collect it back down. I'm going to go ahead and roll the throttle up to 4. No, you can't see it on here. So for however many times you prime it, that's how many times, that's where you're going to set the throttle to. Rotor brake, cycle and check. On the real helicopter, there's a indent lever inside. You push that inside, push the rotor brake out. Gonna check on the warning lights, make sure the brake light is on, and rotate it back to forward position. Make sure the brake light is extinguished. Ignitions, mag and plasma on. First clear my area, looking out my door here, clear right, clear left. If I had a co-pilot with me, he would look out his cockpit window there. So mag and plasma light, mag and plasma ignitions are located here, both to on position. The buzzing noise you hear signifies that they are on. And so this next step, I'm going to go ahead and go with engine startup. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press the start switch on the collective. Engine will turn over, starter light will come on. Once the engine has started, I'm going to disengage the starter button, starter light will come out. Immediately after that, I'm going to roll the throttle to 0. Then I'm going to check to make sure the oil pressure light is out. Should be extinguished within 30 seconds. Next, I'm going to come back down here. Alternator goes on. Going to make sure the alternator light is out. After that, I'm going to come back down. Going to engage the clutch, lock the clutch, make sure that the blade is spinning. Next on the list, throttle is idle, oil pressure light is out, alternators on. I'm going to make sure that the rotor and engine are synchronized, and to know that, looking at this needle right here, they are synchronized, and I'm going to make sure the clutch light is out. Green RPMs, 2000, maintain oil pressure. So what they're saying is I'm going to roll my throttle up, I'm going to roll the engine RPMs up to 2000. At the same time, I'm going to be keep an eye on the fuel pressure, the oil pressure gauge, to make sure it doesn't go up. So rolling up away from me is up. One thing to make note of is that the throttle is very sensitive, even in the real helicopter. So you might end up having to chase the numbers a little bit here. Two 2007 works for me. And moving along next, plasma off for 5 seconds. Plasma is identified. Plasma identified on the right. Plasma coming off. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. Shouldn't drop any more than 300 RPMs. The reason we check the plasma is to be sure that the magneto can maintain within 300 RPMs of 2000 for 5 seconds. Okay, good there. It was about a 250 RPM drop. So, plasma back on, and let that reset. Okay, good enough. Next, magneto. Magneto coming off. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. And the reason we check the magneto is to be sure that the plasma can maintain within 100 RPMs of 2000 for 5 seconds. Plasma coming back on, reset. Okay, good enough. Next on the list, rotor speed up to 420 to 450. Rotor speed located right here. Rolling on up to 420 to 450. Okay, that'll be adequate there. And by the way, normal operating range for the engine in the Cabri is 2585 to 2700 RPMs. After that, what happens after that is we're going to go ahead, set up our altimeter and avionics. Here at Chehalem, we are at 190 feet, so setting it up for our altitude, and actually the thing is already set for 190, so I guess it must have been from the last time I was flying in here. I believe X-Plane 12 sets it from the last session, so let's see. Next on the list, avionics. Avionics, we got you can turn our transponder on, and for our Garmin, we have the generally the Cabris we fly in. They all have the GTN 650s. I have one here on my desktop too. I'm going to go ahead and set that. If I rotate the numbers here, the standby and the active and standby frequencies, you'll hear the ATIS report right now, or the AWAS. Okay, it's a little bit annoying though, so I'm going to take that off. So we'll just assume that we're good to go. We're set up on the avionics and stuff. So fuel was good. What we're waiting for though here is what we call the T's and P's in the green, which is the oil temperature should be greater than 100 degrees. The oil pressure should be less than 95. Looking for those two things before we move on to the next steps. But here in the simulator, for some reason, it doesn't seem to be quite modeled out like the real thing, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the next step, which is to oil temperature, rotor RPMs to 530. Make sure that we have a green light on the bark. They're talking about this light here is green, and we're going to go ahead and roll the rotor RPMs up to 530. It's going to be up here past the green arc here. And also going to be wanting to keep your eyes on the oil pressure gauge at the same time too. And guard the throttle too to make sure it doesn't overspeed. 524. Okay, that's adequate there. Close enough. Now we're going to go ahead and initiate the carb heat hot. So carb heat is down here. It's a 3 detent position. Down is cold, center is auto, and up is hot. We're going carb heat hot. First thing we're looking for, manual indication right here. Second of all, carb heat should be increasing and the rotor speed should be decreasing. And then we're looking to make sure a yellow brick shows up right here. Once again, this is just a simulator and it's not quite modeled out right, so I'm going to assume that we have our yellow brick. So I'm going to go back down and carb heat back to auto. And next up, we're going to go carb heat cold. One down is cold. So once again, looking for a manual indication here. Carb temperature should be decreasing and the rotor speed should be increasing. And then we're going to be waiting for that yellow brick to disappear. Okay, so let's assume that everything is back to normal again. The yellow brick disappeared. Carb heat going back to auto. Reset there. And next on the list, carb heat increases, carb heat auto. Gonna roll off the throttle to idle. Needle split, bark light yellow. Warning light, gonna mute the bark. So, what's gonna happen here, I'm gonna grab a big old underhand grip on the throttle, gonna roll it down, gonna make sure that the needles here split. The needles, I'm talking about the engine and the rotor needles. And then over here, you should have a yellow bark light should come on, and then I'm gonna mute the bark warning over here. So here we go, underhand grip, 1001, 1002, 1003. There goes the split. This is supposed to be yellow. It's supposed to be yellow here. Gonna bark. Mute that. Okay. Doors closed. Seatbelts fastened. Gonna go with throttle governor switch on. Governor is located right down here. Governor on. Make sure that the governor on light is extinguished. To be sure that that shows that the governor is off, but the governor is currently on now. So now we're gonna roll. Gonna roll the rotor. Gonna roll the engine up to 400 or 2,000 RPM. At which time the governor should take over. Rolling throttle up to 2,000. And there we go, governor has taken over. You want to be careful to guard that throttle so it doesn't overspeed. And all we have left is the final sweep, so we starting from the top here. Okay. Gonna make sure that the mixture is full rich. Mixture full rich. Make sure the circuit breakers didn't pop out. Collective friction is off. Transponder set, avionics set. Nav lights on. Landing light if needed. T's and P's in the green. Feels good. No warning lights. We are ready and set to go. We have GPS open. GPS in GPS mode. We have our direction set for the runway. We're good to go, ready to fly. And that's it. Thanks for watching.